Tanguy Ndombele was supposed to become a world-class midfielder for Spurs, as we spent 62 million euros on him after his magical season at Lyon. But while he did score a debut goal and played pretty well in that game, every Spurs fan will agree that he is probably our worst signing of all time. This dude had less stamina than a prematurely born baby and would basically just walk around the pitch for 10 minutes and then be useless for the rest of the game because he ate too much the night before. And he had issues with his fitness for his entire time with us, never taking his body seriously, and like this guy never did cardio, never wanted to train. He just wanted to eat and relax and chill and sleep. So after just 3 years with us, he started getting loaned out, playing for the likes of Napoli and Lyon and also not succeeding there. So now he's a bench player for Nice as a massive waste of potential. Heung-min Son came in as another exciting young player, being a dynamic left winger who would provide firepower up top. But in his first season, Son did not play very well, struggling to adapt to the league and actually asking to return to Germany. But after Poch convinced him to stay, Son eventually turned it all around. He gradually ramped up his goal-scoring production and ended up developing into one of the best players in the world, having countless unforgettable moments and picking up numerous individual awards. But despite being a world-class player now, Son couldn't get his hands on a trophy, losing multiple different finals with us until his last season at the club, where he captained us to European glory and cemented himself as a Spurs legend. So now he's in the MLS, just chilling out in LA, far away from the chaos that we are currently in, as one of our best players of all time. Moussa Sissoko was brought in on deadline day for a big £30 million fee, hijacking Everton at the last minute. He had been a great player for France at the 2016 Euros, but in the beginning in London, Sissoko looked like a flop and meme, having cinder blocks for feet and the touch of a baby elephant. But after he changed position from winger to midfielder, Sissoko began to shine for us, using his physicality extremely well, and while he still blasted every shot into near-Earth orbit, he became well worth the 30 mil. So he was now considered somewhat of a cult hero, but as he got up there in age, he did start to slow down a bit, thus moving to Watford in 2021 to be a leader for their relegation fight. And after just 1 year there, he spent 2 years at Nantes, then 2 more years back at Watford, and is now at Panathinaikos in Greece. Still a very solid player and one of our fan favorite guys. Moura was our first winter signing in 3 years, brought in to be a pacey spark for about £25 million. At PSG, he was stuck behind the likes of Mbappe and Neymar, but he had showed elite qualities when he was the starter in the past, so many thought he was a steal. And while it took some time for him to adapt to the Prem, Moura instantly became worth the money in the 2019 UCL semis when he scored that legendary hat-trick to bring us back from the depths. It was one of the great miracles of recent football history, as we were completely dead in the water, being 2-0 down in the second half, also having been dominated for the majority of the tie. And that was understandably the peak of Moura's time with us, as he just went back to being a rotation player after that, and as of now he's back in Brazil playing for his old club Sao Paulo. Victor Wanyama had worked with Poch before at Southampton, and he was our first signing of 2016 for a pretty cheap 11 million. We needed some more midfield power for a return to the Champions League, and Wanyama slid in perfectly alongside Moussa Dembele, forming a world-class double pivot. He was just insane for us, man, and drove our 86-point season, being the defensive anchor that allowed our creators to flourish. But unfortunately after that, Wanyama started getting infinity injuries. It began with a knee issue that screwed with the cartilage in there, and while he still had some great moments like an absolute missile against Liverpool, his knee just continued to keep him sidelined consistently. So after 2 more years of struggle, Wanyama moved to Montreal, where he stayed healthier in a less demanding league, and as of the current day, he's working on his coaching license. Giovanni Lo Celso was signed alongside Ndombele to be our Christian Eriksen successor, having had a breakout season at Real Betis the year prior. He first came in on loan for an eventual £55 million, but our next star playmaker struggled to make an impact as he suffered numerous injuries throughout his first season with us. And while he had a good run under Jose after his buy option got activated, the injuries became a recurring theme as he always had some sort of knock, but he would just magically become healthy whenever it was time to play for Argentina. This frustrated us fans infinity, and he was loaned out to Villarreal after that, where he kinda got back to form, but then suffered a bad hamstring injury that caused him to miss the World Cup. So the injuries were real for sure, but upon his return to North London, he got some more games under Ange, and without the high expectations from before, we started to appreciate his effort and energy. But obviously it wasn't worth the 55 mil we paid for him, and he is now back in Spain playing for Betis as a rotational guy, being much more accomplished accomplish at the international level. Davinson Sanchez was another club record signing, this time for 42 million euros, as at the time he was considered one of the world's best young defenders. Poch identified him to be a perfect fit for his system, as he had pace and strength alongside great personality and character, and in his first season with us, these qualities really shone through. He was instantly slid in to cover for the injured Toby Alderweireld, and he was not fazed at all by this, displaying that strong mental fortitude, prompting Poch to say that he'd become one of the best in the world. But while he formed a formidable back three with Toby and Jan for some time, Sanchez actually began to decline after this strong early period, making some bad individual errors that led to a decrease in his confidence. These then increased in frequency after Jan and Toby left the club, and it all came to a climax against West Ham in 2020, where he was a big part of the collapse that saw us lose a 3-goal lead. So he was dropped from the squad by Jose Mourinho after that, and then became a bench player for 3 years, moving to Galatasaray in 2023, where he has played somewhat better, but not up to his original potential. Toby Alderweireld was also brought in from Southampton, as Poch looked to shore up our leaky defense from the year before. His 16 million euro fee was seen as a bargain at the time, as we beat out multiple big clubs for his signature from Atletico Madrid, pairing him up with Vertonghen to form a Belgian wall at the back. And this duo truly became one of the best partnerships in the world, as they were the foundation of the best period in our history and only conceded 26 goals in that famous 2016-17 season. We weren't able to take advantage of Toby's prime years, however, as he began suffering from some injuries after those 2 great first seasons, having a bad hamstring tear that marked the start of his decline. He was still a great defender though, and was our best CB under Mourinho, helping us reach the Carabao Cup final that Levy absolutely ruined by firing Jose right before it. So he left after that and got a bag in Qatar for a year, then ending his career at Antwerp as a Belgium and Spurs great, and has since kicked off a singing career. Eric Dier was another promising young prospect signing, coming in for only 5 million after a couple seasons in Portugal. He was very versatile, playing in midfield and defense, and became an instant hero when he scored in the 93rd minute to get us the win against West Ham on his debut. Then after a year at the back, Poch decided to play him more in midfield, which saw him become a regular starter and also grow into an England international, far surpassing his 5 mil fee. As we signed some other mids though, Dier returned to being a center back, being a rotational piece for a couple years, but then being a key starter under Mourinho at CB. At this point, he was a long-time warrior and veteran for the club, even going into the stands to beat up a fan that one time. But once Ange took the helm, Dier didn't fit his system and he left the club the season after. And following some time at Bayern, Dier is now at Monaco, mostly just being a bench player as he gets up into his mid-30s. And while he wasn't world class, I think he's one of the best signings Poch made for us. But the most famous English talent that signed for us under Poch was the electrifying Dele Alli, who was brought in from MK Dons for just 6.6 million euros. He had absolutely dominated the lower leagues of England, and after being loaned back there for a year, he joined Spurs in 2016, but no one could have predicted what the 19-year-old would do next. Dele didn't need any time to adapt to the higher leagues, getting 10 goals in his first season and just crushing the eye test with all sorts of skills and tricks alongside his efficient production. And he was just so good, man. Like the chip against Arsenal, the push gas against Palace, the missile against France. I mean, oh my god, man. I thought we had the Ballon d'Or winner. But unfortunately, that never became reality, as Dele started to struggle with various fitness and attitude issues, still showing flashes here and there, but never being consistent after 2018. And this even prompted Mourinho to tell him to change his ways or else he'd regret wasting his potential. But now that we know more of his extremely rough childhood, I personally do not blame Dele for his decline. So after 7 years I'll never forget, Dele left us to Everton for free, where he sadly couldn't get going again, and also had a bad spell at Besiktas where he was actually booed by the fans. And after his comeback at Como also did not work out, Dele is now a free agent. So it seems like the golden boy will never take his throne now, but Dele Alli gave us some beautiful moments and had a career that most would dream of. I'd appreciate if you would like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, comment below what you'd want to see next, and thank you for all the support so far.